I think our culture's understanding of freedom in large part is a narrative about, if you like, you're oppressed and held back by an external force, and then once that's broken, you're free to be who you want to be, right? That's the cultural narrative. And Israel's story initially looks like it validates that narrative, right? Israel is oppressed by, there's whips and chains and all the rest of it, and they have to kind of build bricks without straw and all the rest of it. And then they get liberated, and now they're free. And yet, of course, the Exodus story does not end happily ever after like that at all. In fact, the book of Exodus, half of the book of Exodus is talking about what happens after they're out. And one of the things you very quickly realize in Israel's rebellion, in the golden calf story, in the book of Numbers, which is a series of wandering stories about ways in which Israel made a mess of things, is you think Israel have been freed from the external oppression, but the sin, indwelling sin that is constraining them and binding them, is actually almost a bigger threat. It's like they need to be liberated twice. They need to be liberated from external things, absolutely, injustice and oppression. They also need to be liberated from the sin inside them, which makes them want to worship idols and sleep around and get drunk and all the other things, grumble and murmur and lack in faith and all the other things that they do in the desert. And in a sense, what the Exodus story does then is it says, look, there are two types of freedom you need. There's two things from which you need to be redeemed. There is a power over and against you that's trying to crush you, and you need someone stronger to come along and break him and throw him into the sea. That's what Jesus does with death. But you also have a power within that is trying to draw you away to worship idols, to compromise, to go and make yourself God rather than the living God. And that's the problem of sin. And that's what Jesus came to die to set you free from and overthrow. And in a sense, therefore, we've got a cross and resurrection gospel coming together in the Exodus story. You need to be liberated from sin and death. You need to be liberated from an external power and an internal power. And it's only if both of them happen that you will be free to press on into the promised land and receive your inheritance. So I think our culture has got half the story right, but is missing the other half often in the way the narrative is told. And I think the Exodus story provides a powerful corrective to that kind of story.